Hello, everyone. Let me just make sure that we are broadcasting. I'm just going to say, give me a shout out in the comments below if you can hear me. I'm just going to set this up. Okay, it says I'm streaming live. I always come on here and I look like I'm lost. I noticed I was looking at this the other day and with my sound off, and I'm always looking like I'm lost in here, but I swear I know what I'm doing. I'm just want to set it up, so that I can see everything and hear you. Okay, we got the chats going here. That's good. And awesome. I don't need to see myself. I just want to see the chat. So that's cool. Got that. All right. Sounds good. So yeah, welcome everyone. I'm really excited today. We're going to be talking about the 3 habits you must give up if you want to build a sustainable business. All right. So sustainable. What is that? What do you think about that when I say that? So greetings. I'm Heather Blaze. If you don't know who I am, I help women entrepreneurs. I help all entrepreneurs, but I focus on women entrepreneurs set up their business system so that they can have time and money freedom to do what they love to do. Oh, hey, Bridget. Hi, good to see you again. So please say hi in the comments and go ahead and put hashtag live if you're here with me live, or hashtag replay if you're here watching the replay. And as always, if you've got any questions or anything, feel free to post them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer those on the live if you're here with me live, or we'll get back to them if you're watching the replay. And then also if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. I've decided I'm just going to start building my channel by sharing these lives there as well. And if you're on YouTube and you're not in my Facebook group, come on through. It's called the Business Growth Blueprint. And I do a live every Thursday at 3 p.m. unless I'm traveling or sick or whatever. But usually I'm doing a live at 3 p.m. And just to give you a heads up, I am going to be traveling. That's why I wanted to mention that in August. So there's going to be a couple weeks, 1 or 2 weeks that I might not do it. I might do one from there. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided, but we'll see. I'll let you know again beforehand. And then my lovely assistant, Alarni, is also going to put it out there to let everybody know that if I don't do it. Okay. So anyway, let's dive in. Enough of that. So again, the 3 habits you must give up if you want to build a sustainable business. And so this is going to be for anyone who wants to build her own successful empire. And I use the word empire because I talk about the employee mindset and empire mindset. And this is when an employee mindset is, let me just to clarify, it's not like a positive, upbeat mindset. That's not what I'm talking about here. I know a lot of people say, oh, you got to have a positive mindset. And yeah, that definitely helps. But when I'm talking about employee versus empire mindset, that is what our entire society has been pre-programmed to function around, right? Like we've been taught our entire lives, and our whole society revolves around being an employee, being a good worker. So you go to school, get good grades, so you can get a good job, so you can be a good worker, right? And our whole society, our television, our friends, our family, our parents, our teachers, everybody has been trained, programmed around how to do that, right? So of course, so then what I see happen a lot of times is they'll want to start a business. They'll either get certified in something, or they have some wisdom, some knowledge, some expertise that they want to share with the world, and they want to create this business. And usually it's because they want freedom and flexibility, right? Or they don't want to, they're spending, life's short. You don't want to spend all your time and energy making somebody else rich, right? Like, why not make yourself rich and be able to control your own schedule and all that? So that's the empire mentality that I'm talking about. And so what I see happening a lot, because that's what everybody knows, right? You know what you know what you don't know. And then you've got a blind spot up here of you don't know what you don't know. And so what happens is I see people taking all that knowledge and all those pre-programmed ways of doing things, of how to be a worker, and then they go out without learning how to have a business of their own, and they basically create a job for themselves. So then they start doing work, and they don't know what they don't know. So they don't know how to set up the structures and the foundation and everything to have a proper business, to grow an empire, right? So instead instead of scaling and instead of being able to work on their business and have that time freedom, they just end up creating activities, doing, working, and then get exhausted, overwhelmed, and burnt out is usually what happens over a period of time. So anyway, your future begins in your vision, okay? And the mindset makes a huge, huge difference. So that's what we're talking about here. So you can't assume that if you keep doing the things that you've been doing your whole life, right? Like that are not getting your desired result, that eventually you'll hit the jackpot, right? Because if you don't know what you don't know, how is anything going to change? It's just like when all of a sudden you're going to hit the jackpot. No, there needs to be a shift in identity and a shift in knowing and knowledge, right? In order to get the results that you're after, right? It's insanity doing the same things and expecting a different result. And most people think that if I just have the right strategy, or if I just knew more, or if I just had more capital, then I would surely build a multi-million-dollar business. But it's wrong. It doesn't happen that way. So if you're stuck in the way you think about your life or your business or money or so many other things, right? You're taking lots of like maybe you're taking lots of action to figure those things out. But again, you've always been operating under the same pre-programming, right? Your whole life. So what ends up happening if you're taking lots of action and you're not getting the results, it's usually a mindset issue. Okay. And I usually say it's 80% mindset, 20% everything else. So I can teach all the fancy marketing tools in the world, but if there's mindset stuff going on, that has to be fixed first, because otherwise it doesn't matter. Nothing's going to work. So that's the first thing that I usually take my clients through, and we set all that stuff up, that we shift all that identity, all that new identity around how to have that empire mindset in the first week. And then we can build on that. Okay. So what do you believe you're capable of? Because the way you think about your abilities and your money makes a big difference, right? So anyway, let's get into it. The 3 habits you must give up if you want to build a sustainable business. Okay. Habit number 1, the first habit that you need to stop doing is getting ready to get ready. Okay. So something I see all the time, and it's something that's born out of fear. Okay. You set up a goal for yourself, but it might seem too big, and all these negative thoughts begin to flood your brain, right? And you might be thinking like, oh, I'm not really smart, or none of my family has had a business before, or I'm not certified yet. That's when I see a lot. Or I'm not good at speaking to people one-on-one, or I'm not good at speaking to public, to groups, or I'm not good at social media, like all these things, or something must be wrong with me because I'm not getting the results, right? We always have we've got all these thoughts that are constantly flooding in our mind. And so many of us, they get overwhelmed, right? Just by entertaining their thoughts. So, and then what happens is they end up giving up on their dream altogether. And that's actually about 50%. Okay. 50% statistically of business owners, entrepreneurs that go out to start businesses, 50% of them get burned out, overwhelmed, and end up quitting, usually within 3 to 5 years. Okay. That's the statistics. Okay. If people are out there, they're trying everything, they're throwing stuff up on the wall to see what sticks, they might try it for 3 to 5 years and then succeed, or they might just give up before then because it's just too hard. There's too many pieces of the puzzle, and then trying to fit all those pieces in the right order, right? And making sure they're all there, right? So that it actually does work. It's a lot. It's a lot to figure out if you've never done it and you're doing it by yourself, right? So the problem sometimes is that the first step also is the scariest one to take, right? It's usually something that you've never done before or never tried before. So then it just keeps you stuck, right? But when you give into that fear, right, you begin to settle for what's easy or comfortable. I hear that one a lot too, or what's doable, what's familiar, right? But it doesn't bring you any closer to your goal. So an example would be getting certified. Like I said, I get this one a lot. Getting certified for this, getting certified for that, or going back to school to earn a 2nd degree, a 3rd degree, a 4th degree. Like I've got clients that make 6 to 7 figures with no degrees or no certifications, because it's not based on that. Nobody cares about your certifications or your degrees, really. I mean, of course, if you're a heart surgeon or something, they're going to care about it, but it's, usually people care about the results that you can get for them, right? They're struggling in some way, or maybe you can save them time, save them money, save their lives, in a different way because of weight loss or health or something, right? So, and they're just stuck too. They're just spinning their wheels, or they just don't know what they don't know, right? So, and you have that knowledge, you've got that wisdom, you've got that expertise that can guide them quickly, easily to get that result. That's what people really care about. Does that make sense? So what you want to do is you want to just take a step back and evaluate what you're doing every day. Okay, look at your to-do list and ask yourself, are these really bringing me closer to my goal? Or are they just busy work? Okay, are you just kind of guessing, like, what should I focus on today that's going to bring me the result? Or do you know what you should be focusing on? Like, that this is going to be the most efficient, effective, productive thing that I need to focus on today to bring me closer to my goal, right? If you're asking yourself, I have no idea what I should start with today, or, maybe this will work, or maybe that, and you don't have that certainty behind that, then, you're just hoping, praying, and guessing, right? And being busy. So does your to-do list include some scary things? So if it doesn't, then it's probably not aggressive enough. Okay. So you may feel like you're being productive, but you just may be killing time because you're afraid to step into that unknown. And the more you delay getting started, it actually ends up being tougher. It's tougher to, it's like the tougher it is, or it's going to get, even because those thoughts are just going to start clouding your head and limiting you more. And then, you might just start thinking like, I have to do this, or I have to do this first. And it's kind of like a perfectionist thing, right? It has to be perfect before I can do this. And the thoughts usually sound reasonable, but you're just kind of hiding in the busy work, if that's what's happening, and pushing your success further away. And then the more you do that and the longer it takes to start getting results, then it could start eating away at your confidence, because you think you're like doing all this stuff. And then sometimes people can be like, oh, well, who wants to listen to me? Or maybe it's me, maybe it's something I'm doing that because the reason why you're not getting the results that you're looking for. And then also, the longer it takes, then your family and friends might start creeping in there and being like, what are you doing? Like, why don't you go get a real job? I hear that a lot too, like friends and family, again, because they're in that employee mindset. So they think that having a job is stability, right? And I had a conversation today with somebody about that. They said that their husband was feeling that way. Like, why is it taking so long? And why don't you just go get a job? And I asked, well, why is that? Why do you think that's important to him? And again, it's that stability. And she said, like, it's way more stable having a job. Like, when you're an entrepreneur, you don't have that stability. And I said, well, actually, I think the opposite, because I think you've got control when it's your own business. Like, you can find the solutions, you have complete control. But when you're working for somebody else, you have no idea how they're running their business. And now you're relying on them to keep you employed. So there's no control. It's just like, ooh, I hope I have my job, next week or next year or next month. Like, you don't know, because you're working for another business owner, right? And they might be not there. I mean, who knows, right? So I think it's the opposite way. I think you have way more control as a business owner over your business in order to get those results. And when you know, right? And so you can have that predictable process that you can call upon to get the clients coming in at will when you need them. Okay. So just understand that also, if you're not making offers, right, you're not putting yourself out there. So then you're not creating opportunities for people or potential clients to say yes to you. So there's a bunch of different things at play there, right? So if you're not making offers, if you're not getting the clients to come in, that's one thing. Then if people are getting on the phone or whatever, they're coming to you and you're not making the offers because you have something happening with your mindset from there. Maybe you're not feeling confident enough for whatever reason. Maybe you're not sure about your price. Like, there's so many different things that could be swimming around there that you could find, like, examples to prove that maybe they're not the right fit, right? I mean, there's so many things that go into it. So anyway, there will definitely be no's, right? But that's just like, it's just how you get to your yeses. Does that make sense? So give me a yes in the comments if that resonates with you. I'm just gonna take a sip of water. And we're gonna go into habit number 2. Okay. So habit number 2, the second habit you have to give up is thinking small. Okay. If you're setting goals, set big ones. Okay. The bigger, set big ones. Okay. Make sure they're just outside of your comfort zone, because that will challenge you. And the reason for that, okay, a big goal is easier to hit than a tiny one, because a big goal can potentially change your life, right? It's going to generate so much energy and so much momentum, right? That when you aim high, the choices you make are potentially for the long term. And therefore, they're going to be the smarter choices to make. So don't go for the shortcut strategy. Okay. There's going to be like that's just going to be, I don't know. Don't go for like the shorter one. That's just going to be work for a few months or, before they all comes together type of thing. Like you want something that will work for you continuously. That's going to be sustainable. Okay. And I'm talking about for you in particular. Right. So there's a lot of different ways to do it, but if it's not working for you the way you're doing it continuously, or if you can't sustain it for a long period of time, and I'm trying to think of an example, like maybe it's doing like organic, social media marketing, right? Or where you don't have those systems in place to get the right people finding you, calling you, and paying you. And you're out there like posting to different people's Facebook groups and posting to all these social media things. And I get a lot of people that are doing that and it's not working one place. So they're posting in all these different places and they're spending hours a day and it's just exhausting, right? That's not sustainable. If you're doing it to start with, because you have a specific strategy to enroll them, right, quickly into what you have, so then you can create a budget to switch over to paid marketing, right? Paid advertising, then that's cool. That's a great strategy. Start with the organic stuff. If you need to, if you don't have the budget for it, get a few sales in, use that to switch over to the paid strategy, which can free up more time, right? But if your organic marketing is not working and you're posting everywhere and it's spending hours a day, like it's not sustainable. You're going to get exhausted, right? So just practice this, okay? Say your goal out loud, okay? And if it makes you uncomfortable, then you're on the right track. Okay, say it over and over and over again until you begin to own it. And then set those goals that like just really light you up. Like when you talk about it, you're just like so excited, right? It gets your adrenaline pumping. Like don't just plot and settle for goals, okay? Because I don't know that, you're just not gonna, I don't know, you're not gonna have that excitement. You're not gonna have that adrenaline. You're not gonna have that energy to keep you going. Because as any business owner, any entrepreneur, there's going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be challenges, and especially like as you grow, right? But the cool thing is like as you move through those, right, it exercises those muscles to be able to move through them much easier, much quicker, and to be able to find solutions much easier, much quicker, right? So if you've got these goals that really light you up and pump you up and the excitement happens, right, then it makes you, it kind of pulls you, right? And it makes you want to push through some of those when things get tough, right? Some of those things that get tough, or might make you want to wake up extra early, like to get more things done or whatever, right? But productive, efficient and effective things done, right? Not just doing, because we were talking about that earlier. So you need to just train yourself to think this way. Okay. You need to unlearn those habits that are keeping you stuck. And of course, it's not going to be easy. You're going to hit one brick wall, like one and after another, right? Like I said, like as you scale, as you get bigger, they're going to be different, right? But they never go away. As a business owner, there's always challenges. So you need to have enough of a goal and a clarity around the goal too. That brings it just brings improvement, it brings movement, and then you'll just be climbing that success ladder, hungry for more triumphs as you fix one problem after the other, right? So once you begin to think big and set big goals, you become a better entrepreneur and a better person, okay? And also, if the goal is exciting enough, it's going to pull you towards it rather than having to push so hard to get to it, because that doesn't feel good. And I often talk about that, like vibration and energy and, having that good vibe. You want to always be operating from that and taking action from that place. Because if you're like struggling and it's not feeling good and you're pushing so hard, that's just a signal to, just take a step back, just stop for a second, regroup, right? And in that moment, I would recommend that you look at your goals, right? Look at your goals, make sure that they're big enough, make sure that they're clear enough so that you start getting pulled towards it with excitement rather than having to push through all that stuff. Does that make sense? So just an important reminder, like just also be careful who you share those big goals with too. Okay. Because there's going to be people in your life who don't share your beliefs. Okay. And they're not going to share your will to succeed. So even those that are closest to you and that care about you, especially those, because they're the ones that are going to want to protect you, because they're going to want you to be happy. And if they see you struggling and you're not getting what you want, right, and you're sharing your goals with them, they're well-meaning, but it's not very helpful in terms of hitting your goals. So just don't let anyone steal your dreams. Okay. I have a friend, one of my best friends, she doesn't even like, she sets her goals and she sets her sights on something that she wants to manifest. And we're all master manifestors, right? But we just get what we focus on. But her goals are huge. She's always manifesting these big things and she's always getting them. She doesn't even share them with me. And I'm super optimistic and I get it. Right. And she's just like, I don't want to share with you because like it could cut into her vibration or her manifesting. Like that's how, like, she really believes in that. Right. So she doesn't share even with me. She gives me like, oh, I'm kind of working on this thing, but she doesn't share too many details or show me any pictures or anything like that. Cause, even though she knows I'm super supportive and love her and I want all the best for her. And I also get what she's doing. It's still like, it could be a wobble, right? It could be like, she doesn't know. Right. But, anyway, maybe I'm getting too woo woo here, but, just be careful, like who you share your dreams with, even if they don't verbally say stuff, right? It might not be in alignment with what you're envisioning too. So it could detract from that. So until you reach that point, then you share it, right? Then you share your excitement and then it just keeps propelling, right? Instead of sharing like, this is what I'm doing, then people might be unintentionally sabotaging or breaking that vibration or wanting to protect you. And that could kind of throw you off or not have as strong of strong vibration is the only thing I can say, right? Like for manifesting, you need to have that alignment. And so anyway, just be careful with that. All right. So number 3, the third habit you need to give up is stop dabbling and start doing. Okay. So I'm not talking about the doing that I just said, don't be doing, right? We're creating an empire with that mindset, so type of thing. I'm talking about that aligned action doing, right? That knowing doing, like once you've got the clarity of exactly what you need to be doing, then you take action, right? So don't spend a lot of time information gathering, as I see that a lot. So if you really want to start or scale your business, don't spend way too much time reading books or watching YouTube videos or that kind of thing, right? Like, or watching webinar after webinar and, gathering information, right? Like these are all just dipping your toes in the water without actually getting wet. So if you're committed and you want to start seeing change in your life and in your business, then that needs massive action, right? So instead of focusing on transformation, gathering too much information can become confusing and keep you stuck, keep you spinning your wheels, keep you wondering what to focus on next so that I can get that result. So find people who have already achieved what you want, like what you want to see in your business, right? Invest in what you need to learn from them, right? Find somebody that has a proven system that you see getting results and take action, right? Because as they take you through that step-by-step process, it just shaves off so much time, right? Like, just, you got to think about it. Like, what is it costing you each day that goes by, each week that goes by, each month that goes by, right? You might be thinking like, oh, I gotta save up all this money, or I just don't have like I can't afford it or whatever, right? This is stopping you, right? There's always a way. Money always shows up for those that are committed. Okay. So a step-by-step process from someone that has a proven system, just like what I do with my clients, right? Instead of it taking that 3 to 5 years and only having 50% of them succeed, or the other 50% getting overwhelmed and quits, we shave off that time. We collapse time down to 8 to 12 weeks so that they can start actually getting the results that they're wanting, right? So their business is completely set up the way that they want it, right? So just make that commitment, invest in yourself, and hit the ground running at once, right? Because again, each day, each week, each month that goes by is time you're never going to get back, and money you're losing, and people out there that probably need you, that are struggling and suffering, and they can't find you. Does that make sense? So if you feel like you're stuck, or if you feel kind of confused because there's so much information out there, and you open your computer every morning and you're like, where do I start? What's the most effective, efficient thing for me to be doing right now? Or like you're just kind of throwing stuff up on the wall to see what sticks and not getting those results, and you need someone to take all that guesswork out of how to achieve your goals quickly and hold you accountable and support you so that you can take action sooner than what you think is possible, then just type the word now in the chat below. The comments, not the chat. And someone from my team will get back to you. Okay. So I hope this has been helpful. And again, I'm here every Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. So mark your calendars, come join the group, the Business Growth Blueprint, and let me know in the comments, or feel free to shoot me a DM too. If there's anything specific that you'd like me to talk about, any kind of lives, or if there's any specific questions, I'm happy to help. All right. So have a great week, and I will see you next week. Take care.